welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo. What?
When he was doing his little charade before the show, he messed up the camera.
Zolo's caught out. What are you doing?
Oh, yeah, I'm not
I
there.
didn't do
You
anything.
fucked it all up. Zolo's half in there.
This is like the third
What
straight show
the
where we're
Whatever.
having technical difficulties to start.
Fix it,
What the
dumbass.
hell?
Other way, dumb shit.
Oh, no.
That didn't take long.
We're already banned?
Yeah, that didn't take long at all. There we go. Welcome. How is everybody on this fine Monday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Tuesday, because somebody had to.
Well,
I'm
Bruce
not
was skiing on
I'm not
Blowing
gonna go
Mountain
there.
and, having himself a
On
good time.
Boner Mountain.
Boner Mountain. I got a couple co-hosts with me today. To my right, it is the one and only Uncle Sam.
You know,
To my left, it is our very own Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
I look disgusting without a beard. It'll be back, I promise.
How quick do you grow how quick does the beard come back in?
This will look decent by Friday.
You think?
Yeah.
Friday show, it'll be decent.
Yeah.
Fixing our cameras currently.
Say walla, bro.
Coated in his own goo, it's Bruce the Tugboat Venditti.
Wait, real quick. All reliables in the TikTok chat. Baldo Alvarado, our boy.
Shout out to Baldo. Baldo is is honestly one of the most loyal fans. Actually, we got another loyal fan in the YouTube. Shout out to Amy Mayer, who just keeps coming back for more. Shout out to Prez. Shout out to the Leones. Everybody in the chat today tapping in.
Oh, the Leones are both there?
They're both there today.
Leone, is that you?
Welcome everybody. We're down to 8 teams left in this NFL season. We are actually down to, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4, 5, 6. We have 7 football games left.
Yeah, usually however many teams there are left. If you subtract one, that's how many games are, because there can only be one standing.
There's 7 games left.
7 games to crown one team.
Can you believe that, Uncle Sam, that there's only
That's
7
great.
games left? Before we get started on today's show, we actually have a very, very special product to promote today, which you can buy on our TikTok shop, which is now live. You can purchase Tip Balls endorsed products through our TikTok shop. You go to the little shopping bag icon on there, and Uncle Sam is wearing the first product that we're going to promote today. It is the Milwaukee X Trump.
The camera.
shut up, asshole.
It is the Milwaukee X Trump t-shirt.
See that nice little Milwaukee logo on here?
I can't hear
The
you.
back of this. The back of that. Can you see it?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. That is iconic beyond its means right there.
There it is.
Uncle Sam's world colliding between Milwaukee Power Tools and the future president of the United States. So you can go find that and many more items that we absolutely adore on our TikTok shop, which I didn't know what that was till about 10 days ago. But we got
one.
We have our own TikTok shop.
But we got one just in time for TikTok to get shut down. Check out our TikTok shop.
Baldo, I agree with you. You do need to get one. You can go find it. Actually, I just started throwing a whole bunch of products that I thought we would endorse here on there. So hopefully we have different TikTok shop products to endorse on every live stream. There you go. How comfortable is that shirt? How comfortable is that shirt?
Oh, it's great.
And you want to know what's even better about it? Not only does he have the Milwaukee shirt on, the Milwaukee X Donald Trump edition shirt, he's got the Milwaukee ball cap, the Milwaukee bivocal security goggles. Honest to God, if Milwaukee doesn't sponsor us at this point,
You're just on brand.
yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Gentlemen, how was your weekend? Zolo?
Oh, man, I don't even remember. Good.
Yeah? You had a
Yeah,
nice little weekend?
it was so long ago, I don't remember. I watched football. You guys ever played Jackbox TV before?
Hell yeah.
I figured you have.
What is Jackbox TV?
It's this app. You put it on an Xbox, a PlayStation. You can put it on a Fire Stick, and it's just these game. It's a party starter. When you have people over, it's a party starter, and you play these games, and it's interactive. Everyone plays on their phone, and then you look at the TV, and it's a lot of fun. Bruce, can you explain it better than me or no?
You ever played Kahoot?
No. Have you ever played Kahoot, Uncle Sam?
No, I've never played that either.
So basically, you connect to this QR code or put a name in this QR code on your screen, which is on a system or a PC.
In layman's terms, Bruce. In layman's terms.
You connect to your phone to the TV or thing.
Will you like answer questions?
Yeah, you basically just play.
Oh, I heard of this. I've heard of this. I've never. You know what we should do? Once football season's done, we should do it live.
Yeah, let's do it.
We should do it live.
Allie is commenting in the chat. Quiplash, yes, that's the main one. The main one that everyone's played is Quiplash.
Okay.
I don't know. That might be a game. There's so many
I
of
have
them.
no idea what Kahoot.
But people usually get
What are you
the party starter 3, and that's where Quiplash is. Quiplash is murder mystery trivia. I'm looking up Kahoot right now.
Uncle Sam, how was your weekend?
Quizzes.
Great.
Could be
High
fun.
points, low points, pits, peaks.
High points, I didn't have to see Bruce. Low points, I had to see him this morning.
You had many. You had 4 days of Bruceless. You had 4 Bruceless days.
I didn't get any better than that.
No.
No. Didn't
That
get
was
any
peak.
better than that.
Bruce, how was your weekend without Uncle Sam?
Shout out to my boy Garrett. Gary No Football.
Shout out to
Gary.
Gary. Shout out to Gary.
Gary.
Why are we shouting
Just
out?
gave me a
Did they ever
whole
go on their
box.
honeymoon?
Jerry gave me
Yeah,
a
they
whole
got
box
back
of some nice 12 gauge freaking slugs here. Love it. Buckshot Gary.
Buckshot
Gary gave me a whole box of
Buckshot Gary.
Gave me a whole box of buckshot.
There you go.
I can't wait. Can't wait, Gary.
Bruce, how was your weekend? How was the ski extraordinaire?
I was pretty depressed. I didn't get to see Uncle Sam.
You were.
Wow, that's good. It's the most creative thing you've ever said, I
Are-
think.
So,
Weirdo.
how many mountain beers were consumed? What was life like at the lodge? What happened?
One person got sent to the hospital, concussion.
For shredding the narnar.
Was it you, pussy? Was it you?
Foot, drop off basically, and was so drunk, basically laying the table on the ground, and was sent to the hospital.
Wow.
Thank God he's okay. Minor head problem. They didn't call it a concussion. Which was weird.
What was it? A head
Why would you say a
contusion?
concussion then if it wasn't? You idiot.
Well, because it's basically a concussion.
Whatever. You're like the NFL. You don't know what a fucking concussion is.
Other than that, it was just pretty much booze and snowboard and skiing. It was so fun.
Anything else?
I don't want to be back here. If
Are you
could do
missing
that
anything out?
365 days out of the year, I would. I would do nothing else but that.
Just snowboard.
Just snowboard and smoke weed.
Putting a half of snow outside.
Putting half of snow
Snowboard,
and
smoke dope, baby.
smoke dope.
Oh, what a
That's
life.
it.
Every minute of it.
What a life.
Living your life like a 15-year-old girl. Okay. What's next?
What's next is we have some games to talk about.
How was your weekend?
My weekend?
Yeah.
It wasn't the best. It ended on a very, very high note. It started out with I was supposed to come home Friday.
Snow.
Flight canceled. Booked another flight Friday evening. Flight canceled. Got rebooked on a flight to Atlanta. Flight canceled. Booked 2 flights on Saturday to ensure I got home, both of which got canceled. Then I rented a car, a Kia Soul. Full review will come. It's not a great one. Drove the Kia Soul from Naples to Tampa, where I eventually got on a flight and got home midnight Saturday.
Why were the flights out of Naples canceled? I can understand if there's issues getting to Detroit, but what's the difference of a Tampa flight and a Naples flight?
So I didn't know this. It took some digging, but Fort Myers is not a hub for Delta.
No.
So all of the flights going from Fort Myers to Detroit were coming from Detroit. So all of the flights from Detroit to Fort Myers were canceled, which in turn led to all of the flights from Fort Myers to Detroit being canceled because of a staff shortage due to the LA fires and the Atlanta snowstorm.
God.
I'm going to give you a hot take right now. I love the Atlanta layover. I don't know if you've ever had it. You don't seem like the layover type.
I
But
did. So
Atlanta was under
They got an
15
inch.
inches of snow,
Yes.
bud.
They got an inch of snow. That was a
Guess
disaster
what, dude? The last time I was in Atlanta, I was there for 3 days, dude.
because of snow.
Yeah, they got 21
Slept
inches.
in a church.
28 inches overnight.
Did you sleep in a church?
Yeah, we slept in the church. Me, my brother, my cousin. Shout out to Dion and Joe Montgomery. Weirdo Joe Montgomery. Shout out to you.
Can I brief you on my Atlanta layover?
Yeah, please.
So actually, I went to none other than Christopher Venditti's military graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And where was that at?
Probably South Carolina. Yeah, Paris.
Okay, it was in Paris Island, to which I needed to be in LA the next day. So I flew from Savannah, Georgia to Atlanta with the stomach flu, and I landed at gate like A2,
Mm-hmm.
and my connector to LA was at F87 or some shit. To which I was in nothing but a beater and a pair of jorts, sprinting with a duffel bag through the airport, made it to the next flight, vomited on the plane, and then that was my layover. It was like I had like a 38-minute layover in Atlanta. I also had a layover in Atlanta to Key West, which is actually a pretty enjoyable experience now that I think about it.
It's a great airport.
It's a monster. of an airport.
It's the biggest airport in the country. It's an Olympic airport. They did it by design. Therefore, almost everyone goes out of Atlanta. It's why Delta's headquartered in Atlanta. There's a Sky Lounge in every one of those terminals.
You want to know what's hot? You know, hot take? I've never been inside of a Delta Skyline.
That's, I mean, it's the only time I'm doing it is when I'm in another city, and for some reason I'm early for the flight, because when I'm here, I'm showing up 10 minutes
10
before
minutes
boarding because I have pre-check.
Correct.
So I'm never the one international flight I did the Sky Lounge here, but usually I'm not. I mean, I'm getting it in other cities. But Atlanta, there's one in every single terminals A through F. They all have Sky Lounges, and they're all good. The food is different in all of them. It's good. It's good. It's a good ordeal.
Next time I have a layover, we have to shout out some people. Shout out to Claire Wirtz on YouTube. Yes, the Kia Soul. Quick Kia Soul review. It was the worst car I've ever driven in my life. On TikTok, Froggy Fresh. Could you imagine the chaos if Houston beats Kansas City? Stay tuned, because my takes are steaming hot today. I have a steaming
Just like your
hot
dumps.
pile of take. Oh, just like the take where Denver was going to beat Buffalo.
God.
That was only me. It was only me, and it was.
That was him.
Oh, you picked it too?
All three
took
of you
that-
picked
Hold on.
Denver.
That was a 6-point game at the half.
All three of you.
That was a
picked Denver.
6-point game at the half, and it was 19-7 or 21-7 at the end of the third quarter. The 2 seed Buffalo Bills. Careful.
I didn't see. I thought I was going to see a better performance.
Shout out to Miguel Trucking. He's a first-time listener and says, "Let's go Lions." I agree.
Okay.
Let's go Lions.
Keep
Miguel.
on trucking, Miguel.
Grumpy old man 69. It's good that Montgomery will be back when they face the Commanders.
You mean
Grumpy old man 69.
you mean
Shout
the
out-
30th ranked Commanders rush defense?
Yeah, we're gonna. There's some hot takes coming today. But first, we need to recap the games that did happen before we can talk about what's coming up next. So should we start with the shittiest game?
Go
Or do you want to go in order?
go in order. Go Saturday.
Saturday, where the Los Angeles Chargers went to Houston to play the 4 seed Houston Texans. For the record, we all picked the Chargers to win this game. The Chargers were favorited in this game, and they lost by 20 points. Houston wins this one 32-12. My instant thoughts were, when I was watching this game, because I figured the chips were going to fall as they did, is that if Houston's defense plays the Los Angeles Chargers, if Houston's defense plays the way they did against the Los Angeles Chargers, against the Kansas City Chiefs, Houston will be in the AFC Championship game. That was my first thought. My second thought was, as far as the Chargers go, I thought that was the worst game they put together in a long time. They looked outmatched. Herbert did not look good. But overall, I thought Houston played a really nice game. I thought their defense finally did what we've been wanting them to do all year. And it was like C.J. Stroud knew that he was in the playoffs, and he decided to turn it on. Your guys' thoughts?
I don't entirely disagree with your take on if the Texans play a certain way, they can beat the Chiefs, but you're asking a lot. They're not. Pat Mahomes isn't going to come out and turn the ball over 4 times. I don't think that's going to happen. Wasn't it 5? How many turnovers did Herbert have?
4.
I don't think that's going to happen, and I think that was the clear difference in the game. Because same drill, that was a close game at the half, and then it got busted wide open. So this is where what's nice about divisional weekend is the games are better, the games are closer, but the catch is
I was surprised that Chargers offensive line got manhandled. Especially in the second half.
It got manhandled, and I don't know if that's gonna. What's different about divisional weekend compared to wild card weekend is the men get separated from the boys. In the NFL, almost always does the best team win at this point going forward. There's clear differences, almost always. When was the last time someone won? And I know what you're gonna say, and we could all agree on it. When was the last time someone won the Super Bowl that probably wasn't the better team, or I don't want to say didn't deserve to win the Super Bowl, but that wasn't the better team?
I think the Chiefs when they played Philadelphia.
You think Philly was better?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some Patriots.
There was some shit going on with the turf. That was a mess.
Did it deserve to win the Super Bowl?
That's fine.
Patriots against Atlanta, where I thought the better team lost.
Yeah,
the
agreed.
Patriots against the Rams.
Agreed. Yeah, that's another good one. And then obviously the better team lost when the Patriots lost to the Giants.
Yes. Yep.
Not that the Giants didn't deserve to win the game; they would deserve to win the game.
Better team, the worst team won.
But it happens, and it happens from time to time. But for the most part, when you get to divisional weekend, if you're here, you're good. You're here to stay. I look at the Lions last year, what they did against Tampa, and conversely, how Tampa kept the Lions close last year. I look at how the Packers played the played the 49ers close last year. If you're here, you're worthy of being here. So if the Texans do pull something off, watch out. Now, just focusing on the game, I didn't really sink my teeth into it because the Chargers' offense was just so bad, and it's because of what Uncle Sam said. Go ahead, Uncle Sam.
That?
Go ahead. Talk about the offensive line.
Well, I just thought their offensive line was awful. They were awful. They couldn't really run the football.
I'm putting my hood up. I'm putting my hood up
tried.
because I look really ugly with long hair and no beard. So I'm just going to do this.
You look worse with the hood on.
We'll find out.
But anyway, I just thought their offensive line was really shoddy right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, they were getting beat up on both sides of the ball. And normally you do not see a Jim Harbaugh team get beat up on both sides of the ball. And it's exactly what happened.
Outtrenched.
They got outtrenched.
I agree with that. Completely unable to establish a run game as well.
They couldn't do anything.
The other thing that I want to say, because I want to give some flowers, Lad McConkey's probably going to finish next year as a top 5, top 8 receiver in this league. He's that good, dude.
Guy's good.
He is that good. You disagree with me? You're scratching
your
your forehead here.
I agree.
I mean,
I actually like him.
He accounted for 200 yards of total
Yeah,
offense in
one
a
of
250-yard game.
In defense, one of those was a busted play down the middle of the field.
That is true.
Okay.
But I thought he just...
But I do think he's very good.
He's very good.
He's very good.
The other guy, Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon hasn't done shit for about the last 10 weeks.
Something about...
And all of a sudden, this guy
turned
exploded.
Turned it on. I thought Joe Mixon had a really, really nice game. None of us expected this one to happen.
No.
Hold on. Not that I expected it. If I could go back, I would still pick the Chargers again. That being said, we had a conversation, and they went 2-0 this weekend. Home underdogs in wild card weekend going into this weekend were 16-4 team all time. So the team that's an underdog at home, both of the home underdogs won this weekend. One of them was Houston. So it was always in the realm of possibility. But no, I mean, that Charger team was playing good football down the stretch. They were a decent defense. Stroud has not shown any signs of life for weeks.
Now that the Charger season's over, what do they have to do going forward to make a better push through the playoffs?
Beef up both sides of the ball. offensive and defensive line.
Khalil Mack, older guy.
I don't think that matters. I don't. They're still under contract, I believe, for a next.
He's talking about
Next year
retiring.
also?
Khalil Mack's talking about retiring.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Well, if he retires, then you replace him. I think they got. Listen, they got a solid nucleus of guys. I really think their offensive line needs more work. Now you got to start thinking: Is Herbert the guy?
That was my next question, and you took
You
it.
have to
I
start
wouldn't-
thinking about.
I wouldn't fret about it. We're talking about one bad game, and I get
Correct.
people want to compound it. It's fair if you want to add in his other playoff performances. If you want to do that, I think they're a couple skill position guys away. I think they need a true complement to Lab McConkey, and then probably a tight end, either Colston Loveland or the Penn State kid. I can't remember his name. Was it Theo Johnson? I don't remember his name. One of those guys would look great here at tight end in the first round. I think they have the best tackle tandem in football, better than Detroit's. Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt. I think they have the best young tackle tandem in football. It's very exciting. Their defense probably needs a few pieces here and there, but that's a defense that played incredible this year with Jesse Minter, number one. Number two, they tore the whole thing down, and in year one of tearing the whole thing down, they made the playoffs as a 6th seed. There's a lot to like if you're a Chargers fan.
Yeah.
I don't know what else they need to add in the
I
short
mean,
term.
that whole division is actually, you know what? Denver was a surprise. The Chargers were a surprise. Nobody expected those two teams to be where they were at.
Do you think they can lean on Dobbins and Gus Edwards going forward? Are they going to have?
No,
an
they're
aggressive-
gonna have to
need
bring
to-
somebody in.
Love Dobbins, but I like him more with a compliment next to him, with
not Gus Edwards.
with another guy.
I agree. Moving on. The Pittsburgh Steelers headed to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Oh, Baltimore comes out on top in this one, 28-14. Difference maker in
I
this
know.
game.
I took Pittsburgh. Go ahead.
You took Pittsburgh. Yes.
Yeah.
The rest of us took. We all took the Ravens, correct? Or did Bruce take Pittsburgh too? This one to me was predictable. Pittsburgh's been on a kind of a slide as of late, and I saw this coming. In all reality, it was Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, 190 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's the difference maker. Just he completely took over this game.
Well, we had talked about that in this game. In order for them to win, he would have to have a big game.
Which it kind of surprised me that he was able to, because Pittsburgh, their highlight has been the defense. And it seems like as of late, it's just slowly tailed off. But I will say, I thought Baltimore's defense played a really, really, really nice game. And they've been on an upswing that just continues to go up.
Are they the favorite in the AFC right now?
No. For me, no.
You still on that Bills tip?
My only problem is, and we've only seen it a couple times this year, if Derrick Henry does not have a Derrick Henry game, and we see there's 3 games this year where he did not have Derrick Henry games. I don't know how confident I still am in in this passing offense to go up against Buffalo, Kansas City, and win.
Wait, didn't he finish second in pass yards though, Lamar?
Yes. But it's, for some reason, it doesn't.
Without Zay
No,
Flowers,
I'm sorry, not
they're-
second, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth in pass yards. He was second in pass TDs. Completion percentage is tough to figure out. I don't know. I think they could beat Buffalo if it comes down to Lamar passing the ball. He's gonna win this year. He's gonna win MVP this year because of how well he did passing the ball. Now, I don't disagree that they need Derrick Henry to win. You need to
Derrick
control the tempo with Derrick Henry to win, but I think they could still. I think they could pull some shit. But if you want to listen, if you want to go with the Bills, that's
Right now,
with
my favorite out of the AFC is still Buffalo. And yours is the Ravens?
Baltimore.
At the moment?
Baltimore.
And
Yeah.
yours is still Kansas City. So,
Road to the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City, bud.
Bruce, you're getting assigned the Houston Texans by default.
I fell asleep during that one.
let's talk about Pittsburgh. It's
Should have had that other cup of coffee I told you to have.
it's
Dumbass.
the fangs are coming out on Mike Tomlin.
Can we do some T squared, some talking Tomlin?
Please, because I'm we had a conversation regarding Mike Tomlin on Thursday. And I think there's a lot of truth to this Pittsburgh team is just good enough to just squeak in every single year. And unless you tear this thing down and start fresh, you are never going to get past there. And when I say tear it down, they do not have an answer at quarterback. I'm sorry, Russell Wilson's not an answer at quarterback. It's done.
I truly think it's just you look at their team amongst all the other teams that are in the playoffs, they have the least amount of talent, period.
They have no running back.
So they've made it. Well, I don't believe that. I think they have two viable running backs. The problem is you don't have any weapons outside of Pickens.
And Pickens is
That's
great at times.
the bottom line is you
consistent at
don't have a guy that can stretch the field.
But
they don't have that.
even with the running
that's
back
killing them.
situation, it's just not. It's
Well, the
not
running back
consistent
situation is really
cohesive.
easy when you're putting fucking 8 guys in the box, 9 guys in the box. They're trying to run against 9 guys in the box because they know they don't really have a viable weapon on the outside. So they're just stacking the box, dude. That's all they're doing.
There's nothing I like going forward about that.
That's exactly what Baltimore did. They stacked the box. They had everybody up on the line of scrimmage and said, go ahead. Try to fucking beat us, but you're going to have to beat us passing the ball. And they couldn't do it because they don't have the weapons.
I like their defense. You say there's nothing you like about Pittsburgh going forward. I like a lot of their defense. I like TJ Watt. I like Patrick Queen. I like their DBs, Joey Porter. I like their safeties. There is a lot I like defensively, but they're in the AFC, which is now the conference of prolific offenses. The top 3 MVP candidates, the top 4 MVP candidates. Well, we could take Mahomes out, but you need to have a high-flying offense to compete in this conference. You can no longer be we're going to beat you with their defense, Iron Curtain, steel wall, whatever. That's in the past. You need to have some assets offensively, and this is what goes back to Tomlin. And it really goes back to their fans. You're okay. Tomlin's a great guy. He's a great coach. He's a great motivator. He's fun to watch. His players love him for the most part, and if they don't, they get rid of him. I don't know about that. I just think he's overstayed his welcome in Pittsburgh because they are stuck in purgatory. They are in purgatory. They need a complete reset in the organization, and they need to have a couple good draft picks, a year or two worth of good draft picks. They need the quarterback.
Hard to do when you're picking toward the end of the draft every year.
Well, yeah, they're not.
Give
That's
them
the thing.
that
They're not even.
I
Picking
give them a
towards
lot
the
of
end.
credit.
They're not even picking towards them. They're picking in the middle. They're picking in the middle or late middle every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And you need a top end guy. You need a top end receiver. You need a top end quarterback.
When is the last time they've had a top 15 pick?
That's a good
Probably
question.
Decades, dude.
Pre-Tomlin.
Decades.
That's a good question.
Did you know since 2017, Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game while Tom Brady has won 3 Super Bowls?
Yeah, but it's beside that, dude. It's beside that. I mean, their road is a hard road to go, dude.
Are we buying in at all to the fact that Mike Tomlin will be traded?
They picked 14 2 years ago. I don't really count that. They picked Devin Bush at 10 in 2019.
Yeah, and that just killed.
For the most part, they're always in the 20s. The last top 15 pick in the last 10 years before all that was Ryan Shazier, who's gone. He died. They're always picking. You need to get out of purgatory. At some point, you need a reset, and you need to select a really good player.
They haven't been
Really good
viable
skill
since
player.
Roethlisberger retired. Period.
Before that,
They have not been viable since.
before that, I think they need a true. They need a dog.
They need a
there.
quarterback.
They need a dog at quarterback. They need a really.
You know who
good
would look
guy.
great in Pittsburgh? And I don't want to be an asshole.
Kirk Cousins.
No, absolutely not. Baker Mayfield. I think he would be a dog in Pittsburgh.
That would be a good
Yeah,
spot
but
for him.
I-
He's not available
He
for
fits
comment.
that. He fits that.
Baker Mayfield's
mold.
never leaving Tampa.
He fits that mold.
A lot of Baker Mayfield's resurgence, by the way, is tied to Dave
Yeah.
Canales and Liam Cohen. But yeah, Baker someone,
He
right?
needs somebody like that.
Someone that has
competitive-
some viability left,
Yes.
paired with a really good offensive coordinator, not Arthur Smith.
Correct.
I don't think I think that's their biggest setback right now. Although I've heard that this guy's getting interviews for head coaching jobs. I don't know how.
No, Tomlin isn't going to get traded. They're not. They're gonna bungle it. But yeah, I think both parties need a change of scenery. I think Tomlin needs a change of scenery, and I think the Steelers need a change of scenery. And it's not going to happen, but that's what's needed for both of these teams.
What's Pittsburgh's outlook? And I mean, I think it's kind of obvious, but I think they're probably going to run back the same group of guys, add a piece here or there, and end up in the exact same spot they were this year, next year.
Possible.
They are picking 21st, and there's some good players in this draft. If they want to get a good pass catcher, that's a good spot to get it. But I mean, I do think they're going to need to, if not,
They need
next
help
year,
at the skill positions. They're probably
Yeah.
going to have to go to free agency.
I think they have to address.
They
quarterback
have to.
At some point.
They have
I
to
think
address
it's-
quarterback.
It's not Russ.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Yep.
Next up, we have the Denver Broncos going to Highmark Stadium to play the Bills. Buffalo comes out on top in this one, 31-7. Denver scored 3 minutes into the game, and then it was all Bills after that. I'm not gonna lie. I was not wildly impressed with Buffalo's performance in that game. I just was surprised that Denver didn't come with a little bit more. We can talk about this when we get to the next games too, but there's a lot of swirling talk today about eliminating the 7 seed.
They'll
No.
never do.
I think
that.
it's stupid.
They'll add a team to the playoffs before they eliminate the 7 seed.
Correct. It's money.
I think the stat that I saw was out of the last 24 2 versus 7 matchups. So it's good. It goes back 12 years. It's happened once.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't.
Green Bay did it.
As a 7 seed?
It's a 7. They beat when
Last
they
year.
beat Dallas.
Okay.
Last
And
year.
the Giants did it twice as what, a 6?
They were 6
We're
seeds.
talking
Well,
7.
whatever,
We're
dude.
talking
6, 7,
seed.
same shit.
7 seed.
6, 7, same shit.
7 seed.
No, because you still got the race for the 7
Yeah.
in that conference was good until the last week. It was a good race, and
Yeah.
Denver deserved to be there. They did what it took to be there. I think it was just a case of for the first half was it's a case of a young team with a hot upstart rookie quarterback and an experienced Super Bowl winning coach going on the road to try and steal one, and then in the second half it's a case of a young team with a rookie quarterback going up on the road trying to steal one. You know what I'm saying? It was just a tale of two halves, I think. And I'm not going to get too carried away with getting rid of the 7 seed because I think, if anything, they're going to add teams and then eventually add playoff teams because of it. This first half was 13-7, right? And Buffalo just opened it. They turned into the Bills that we saw against the Lions, and they were able to force some mistakes out of the rookie and play better in the second half. And I agree, the first half Buffalo performance was not great, but I think the second half Bills performance can beat a lot of teams. I think it could win the AFC. But you got to put it all together.
I was surprised. Buffalo's defense, for me, was the surprise. I thought they played a really nice defensive game. Bo Nix has been very hot as of late, and he looked uncomfortable. I don't know. Right now, I just Buffalo's going to be – if James Cook has a game like he did and Josh Allen wants to take over the game, it's hard for me, unless you have Derrick Henry go ballistic, to imagine the Bills losing.
They're 1-point underdogs at home.
Correct. Oh,
And
they're
that's
underdogs
Sunday.
now?
They're underdogs. They're dogs.
Ooh. Thought when I looked yesterday they were a 1-point favorite at home, and they were only giving him. I assumed that point was only because it was at home. But if they're the dogs, they're the dogs. Your thoughts on Denver? Your boy Estime, I didn't even see him out.
I don't.
He didn't play.
He didn't play.
He was scratched.
So that's it.
You told us in Audric Estime anything.
I thought he was going to play. I didn't know he was a scratch.
Buffalo's outlook for next year, Denver's outlook for next year.
No, I think they got a really nice team going forward, man. They're going to add pieces and they're going to do well.
It's the same as the Chargers. I think people are going to want to play in Denver. It's always been a market that's had no problem with free agents. I think they're slowly working out of their cap hell that they were in with Russ's contract and all of that. They're going to have a decent draft pick, good draft capital in general. Skill position players are going to want to go play with Bo Nix. I think this is a great spot for a Keenan Allen, or a great spot for what's another free agent wide receiver that's not coming to mind right now.
All those guys, anybody that's out there.
I think and this is also a good draft to get a pass catcher. They're another team that needs a tight end. It's almost like the Broncos and the Chiefs, or
Chargers.
the Broncos and the Chargers, both need similar things. They might need a little more help in the trenches. This would be a great spot to draft a running back. I think that they could really use a
That's what I
surefire
think.
thing at running back.
I think if they could get a solid running back, they could do some damage.
He's not going to be there, but how good would Ashton Genty?
It'd be
look
perfect.
there?
Yeah.
It's a match made in
How
heaven.
good would Ashton Genty look there?
Right now, if you had to pick, who are you taking in the Buffalo-Baltimore game?
I would say Buffalo.
Why?
At Buffalo.
Why?
It's at Buffalo. I just think they're going to be hard to beat there.
We've watched both of these teams choke so many games away against Patrick Mahomes that,
And I see him doing another one.
well, hold on. Right now, with both of them as good as they are both playing, because Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are probably playing better than anybody in the league right now. They are. Is there a scenario where you could see one of them absolutely just choke jobbing the game away against the other?
I can see them both doing it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. I could see them both.
I think it's a toss-up.
I could see them both doing it because Bills D is suspect. The one that I imagine staying true to form on Sunday is Lamar. Lamar is also, he's going to win his third MVP. This is his best season of the three. And every criticism he took in the offseason of this is why you didn't win that home game against the Chiefs, every criticism, he's corrected it. It's one of the best quarterback seasons of all time. And he only has 4 interceptions. He did what he did on Sunday without his top receiving threat, without Zay Flowers. And they're just the reason I would pick Baltimore is I just think they're extremely hot at the right time. I think they are the hottest team in the league. Doesn't mean anything if you have to go into Arrowhead and win, but I think they're the hottest team in the league, and their defense is starting to click now. I think that's the deal breaker. They have a little bit in the secondary now.
Shall we move on to the NFC? The 7-seed Green Bay Packers headed to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. Philadelphia wins this one 22-10. Didn't like much out of Jordan Love there, eh?
No.
Did not like much out of Jordan
Listen,
Love.
I will say this. Out of all the games I watched, I love that game. This was a physical game.
It was close, too. That was a close game.
and
Score
physical
reflects.
game.
This one felt close.
I have a new guy that I'm all over right
Infatuated
now.
with.
Is it Zach Bond?
No, Zach Vaughn, he was already there. I'm just, there's a guy who plays for the Packers that I think is an absolute.
I know who it
dog.
is.
They just
and
drafted
and they nailed the pick, too, when they drafted him.
and I was just like,
Can I say his name?
yes, go
It's Edrin Cooper.
ahead. Dude, he's everything he was coming out of college.
Yeah.
The guy's a stud.
They stole him.
The guy is a stud.
I don't know why he fell. I think there was a bad
I don't
medical.
either.
He had a second-round grade on him, but they absolutely stole him.
But
and
you pair him with Quay Walker, my God.
they might let Quay Walker
both
walk, no
good.
pun intended.
They're both good.
Yeah, and Rashawn Gary is still, I mean, he gets better. Every time I see him, he's always doing something
And
crazy.
they were missing Wyatt. Wyatt didn't play.
Mhm.
They were missing him.
Was this more of the Packers' offense completely falling apart, or was this more of Philadelphia putting on such a stout defensive performance that Jordan Love didn't know
I
it?
think it came down to this. What was it? First series of the game, they lost their
Kickoff.
right guard?
The kickoff.
There's a difference in
guard?
the game.
left guard, right guard,
Are you talking about the
left guard.
Packers?
Packers lost to the left guard. As soon as that happened, they were unable to stop the pass rush. It was in his face on every play. Jordan Love could not get comfortable because of that.
How many Packers went out injured in this game?
I mean, 2 receivers.
3 offensive linemen,
You lost
and
Jaden Reed.
3 receivers.
You lost Jaden Reed. You lost Dontavian Wicks died.
Went down.
Yeah.
Who's the third receiver?
Watson.
Watson was already
went
out.
out with the concussion.
Dobbs got out. Yep.
Yeah.
So I have an observation on Jordan Love. I think he has the skill set. I do. I see good raw talent. My concern on him, if you watch him, and this goes back to that game against the Lions as well, he's not smart. He cannot improv. He can't. Every throw is always his first read, and it's a forced throw. He does what his coaches are telling him to do. He cannot improvise.
He's a puppet.
Yeah, but I mean, I love his arm, but did they give him a lot of money before they saw enough of him? And
Listen to me.
one more
I'm
season of
watching
this?
him, dude. He's not it.
You don't even see the skill set. I at least see the
I see
arm.
the skill set.
I see the arm.
listen to me.
Athletically, he's there. but there's
Athletically,
something going on
size,
between-
it's all there.
between
Guess
them.
what? His decision making is absolute dog shit. You can't teach that. That's just dog shit. You cannot teach that.
He can't call what's setting when we're talking about divisional weekend, and what sets a lot of these current quarterbacks apart from the other 24 quarterbacks, and it's not even all of them. Jared Goff can do it, Matthew Stafford can do it, Baker can do it to an extent. Hurts can kind of do it, et cetera, et cetera.
We haven't even
Mahomes-
got to him yet. I got some things to say about him.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
These guys can call the game at the line of scrimmage. They're given so much responsibility that they can completely change a game by calling out plays relative to the protection that they're seeing at the line of scrimmage. Jordan Love cannot do that. It's what's being told in the headset. Look for this guy to be open, throw the ball. He can't improvise, and I think that's a problem. I think he needs to I love Matt LaFleur. I actually do think he's a great offensive mind. I've said this before, but I think they need to graduate a little forward and bring in an offensive coordinator. Take the plays away, or you can still use LaFleur's concepts, but I think they need to give someone
He can script
power.
his first 15 plays. He doesn't need to get away from it completely, but you need a guy that can fucking read a defense.
Yeah.
You need a guy that can read a defense. You need a guy that can react. If you don't have that, you're fucked.
It's trouble.
Yeah. Because let me tell you something, Jalen Hurts, to me, now I will say this before I get to Jalen Hurts. Listen, Love was off from the get. Overthrow over the middle, should have been picked. He got lucky. First play of the game. And it just progressively got worse. He started missing guys. He had a nice little rapport with Jalen Reed going there. Well, Reed got blanket ship, blew Reed out, blew just about every receiver they had out of there. That guy plays hard as fuck. That Reed blanket chip. Give that guy all the credit in the world. He plays hard as shit. Yep. They were legal hits, and he was just separating guys from their body. And that's how you're supposed to do it.
Hold on. You're going to say something, and I want to take something away from you before you say something. You said, was this a case of the Packers' offense looking bad, or was this the Eagles' defense looking good? That's what you said when we started this conversation. Do you remember that from 5 minutes ago?
Yes, I do.
Because you brought up those two units, you covered up a unit that did not look good, which I think is a story going forward if they want to go on a run. The Eagles' offense.
The Eagles' offense was absolute dog shit, dude.
Dog shit.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what's going on with them, but
You've been saying I don't know what's going on with them for 2 years.
Brown, listen to me, dude. I knew what was going on with them last year. We all knew what went on with them last year. It was coaching, and anybody who doesn't know that does not know football. It was fucking coaching down the stretch. It was awful. Here's the problem. At this point, what are you doing with this guy? What are you doing with Hurts? It just looks like he drops back, scans the field, kind of goes to the left, kind of goes to the right, trying to, I don't know what he's trying to do, but he holds on to the ball too long. I don't think he can, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, why are they have the best running back in football. You hand it to him. The guy's an absolute beast. Why are you not running play action off that? They did it one time in the game, and he scored a touchdown on it. That to me makes no sense.
At some
No
point,
sense.
Jalen Hurts is going to have to make a play. If you
Yeah.
want to beat these teams, and love the Saquon thing, whatever, everyone's been on his knees for him all year. He's had a great year, but you saw what happens when the script goes south
Correct.
with Saquon. You saw it. If a team takes away the run,
They're fucked.
Jalen Hurts is
They're
going to
very
have to make a
beatable.
play. And he's got the pieces. Goddard's a great pass catcher. A.J. Brown, when he's open, deadly. They're all so good, you forget about Jahan Dotson, who caught
Devontae Smith.
and Devontae Smith. You forget about
Yeah.
those guys. They're that good. He hasn't looked. I mean, of course, it's his first game back in a month almost, right? He was out the last 2 weeks of the season,
3 weeks.
last 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah. So it's
That
his
needs to
first
be
game
corrected.
in a month. So
That needs to be
say
corrected.
rust.
I think they ultimately win Sunday because it's at home and because of the weather, and I just know how Matthew Stafford operates in the cold. But they're going to very much have their hands full on Sunday because he's going to have to make a play to make it happen. I just trust their defense.
The Rams defense is for real.
That
They
Jalen
better
Hurts
watch
that I
out.
saw against Green Bay, against that Rams young front, I don't see it happening.
That's fair.
I think we're going to host Matt Stafford in an NFC Championship game.
Most people agree with you. I am not one of them.
Philadelphia's the one team that scared me in the NFC until I watched them play this Packers team.
I just don't think you're going to see the same team this week coming. I think you're going to
I
see
agree.
a different team.
I agree. I think they can scheme. I think they can out scheme a victory. Because I don't think the Rams' offense was that prolific yesterday either. I think that their defense was the story.
They were just playing.
Their defense was the story, and they took Aaron Glenn's script with healthier and better players on defense, and they did the same thing. the Lions
I think
did.
Philadelphia's going to have an issue with that N'Kobe Dean injury. That's really going to hurt.
That's a
them.
story. It could matter.
That's really going to hurt.
It could matter, and it seems like
Yeah.
Slay is banged up.
Slay is
Yeah.
It
He's
seems
banged
like
up, dude.
it seems like Slay. He had an interception. It was before he went
yeah,
out
but he
and came back.
didn't come
but-
back in, but I think he was fine.
Yeah,
But they didn't bring him back in. But then the Kobe Dean injury,
it's big.
you got to see what he's like. He was all over the field. He was making play after. And I thought it was going to be Zach Bond early there, and it wasn't. It was Dean. Dean was making all the plays in that first half.
It's a
till he
huge
went
deal.
down.
I agree with you. I'll say this much. Their defense looks the part. I think it's probably the best defense remaining in the league.
Their number one ranked defense.
Yeah, I agree, and they look the part, and they have that going for them to win a Super Bowl. Something's got to click offensively. It can't just be we're handing the ball off to Saquon because that script does not work. Jalen Hurts is going to have to make a play at some point.
Nolan Smith was fucking real nice. At their whole line, dude. All them Georgia boys are dogs. You see it. Now you know why they all got drafted there. Now you know why they all went there.
I agree on
they're
N'Kobe Dean,
they're
though.
a menace.
I agree. N'Kobe Dean is a huge loss for them.
Yeah,
That's big.
I believe next year he'll be probably one of the best linebackers in the league. Hopefully that this knee injury doesn't hamper him.
Green Bay's outlook going forward into next year.
I think they got a lot of shit. They got a lot of work to do, dude. You gotta figure.
They have to address
I
something.
don't know how much more can he dummy up his offense for this guy. I mean I don't know. I don't know.
I kind of disagree with you guys. I actually think Green Bay is in as good of shape as any team. The only question mark to me is Jordan Love going to be the guy long term? But you can do enough to turn him into the guy. You can have a big enough offseason.
Yeah,
to turn
we've
him into the
seen
guy.
worse guys win Super Bowls. I mean,
100%, 100%. Here's the kicker on Green Bay. They have the youngest team in the league. They have the youngest defense in the league. They won, 11, 12 games? They won 12 games. And yeah, it wasn't great. This wasn't
11
pretty.
and 6, you were right.
They did that with minimal pass catchers, right? So go get a pass catcher. And I think that's what Brian Gutekunst, or whatever his name is, this is what he does. When there's a position of need, he hammers it in the draft. He doesn't just get one guy, he'll get 2 or 3. So they need corners. Keyshawn Nixon was a liability, and you lost Jair Alexander. So I would expect them in free agency in the draft to handle DB hard. And then same with pass catcher. That was unacceptable.
They
what
have a
happened
lot
with
of pass catchers there.
But none of them are elite.
They
but-
need a number 1 guy.
Yeah.
They need that.
Well,
need
they
the
have
guy.
a number one. He just wasn't there.
You talk about Christian Watson?
Yeah.
I think they need someone better than Christian
is
Watson.
not a
I think
number
they need better than Christian Watson. Especially he'd be a great compliment.
But his system is really funny too, because they'll go from week to week to week, and some other guy will be the guy every other game. They don't have a consistent guy that is the lead guy on that team.
No.
And that's the problem.
They don't have anybody who's separated themselves as a true number one.
Well, I just think it's the way that system is set up, though. I think that's LaFleur's system, is to target a guy that you're not going to expect and absolutely hammer him.
I just don't know if any of them are that great.
I think Jalen
pass
Reed is
catchers.
very
Number
good,
one.
dude.
They would look a lot better with a guy that is that great next to them.
Right.
A guy that could draw the attention away from them. Because that's why they lost to the
If
Lions.
Jaden Reed could play at number 2, Christian Watson could play at number 3, and you had Wicks and Dobbs as your complement guys,
Could be pretty good.
my God.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Moving on. Washington went down to Tampa, play the Buccaneers. Washington comes out on top 23-20, earning themselves a spot to play our Detroit Lions at Ford Field on Saturday evening. What do you guys got on this one?
I want it on the record that I had this one.
You did.
And I wanted this scenario a week ago, not because I thought, oh, the Commanders they are the easiest path. They are on paper the easiest path. And the Lions are very much going to have their hands full. A lot of people think the Lions are going to blow them out. The Lions are going to have their hands full on Saturday. Let's get that out of the way. Jaden Daniels is great. When I look at the Commanders, I see the Lions from 2 years ago, the 9-8 Lions. And I see them trying to figure it all out on the fly and piece it together. It just so happens they're now able to do this in divisional weekend. They're missing some things defensively. I think at some point Dan Quinn's going to be fielding a competent defense. And I also think they need to revamp their offensive line. But Jaden Daniels is every bit of clout we gave C.J. Stroud last year, which was well-deserved, by the way. We need to be giving that and more to Jaden Daniels, and he's the real deal. I mean, they've won 5 straight games with comeback fourth quarter victories, last second victories. They did everything they needed to do to win the game.
Be honest, there. The Baker Mayfield fumble killed him. They should have been in this.
And the
game.
worst part about it was Baker
Yeah.
was having such like a nice, clean, good game up until that point. It wasn't anything spectacular.
Fumble killed him.
The way I looked at that, though, the counter to that is I thought, and I love Dan Quinn's aggression in the red zone. That was the difference in the game. They had the one who caught the touchdown pass in the end zone. There was it Ertz that got the one in the end zone when they were in the red zone. They couldn't once they got into the red zone, and of course Tampa D is outstanding. Their D line is one of the best, if not the best. When they got into the red zone, they couldn't move the ball. And that's a problem I envision going into Ford Field. They're going to need those boomer bust plays. It's going to have to be Terry McLaurin home run balls in order to beat the Lions because they struggled hard in the red zone. So the way I look at the Baker fumble is it was just the counter to the turnover on downs and the bad play calling in the red zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean Tampa played a great game.
Here's one thing about Washington that I noticed: they possess the ball, they run the ball. They move the chains. They eat up a lot of clock.
When you're getting 4 and 5 yards on every first down.
Well, that's the whole
Every
thing.
single first
These
down.
guys, they're and they were doing it against. I believe that Tampa's defense is one of the better defenses in the league.
I agree.
You know, Levante David's a beast. I watch this guy, dude. I am just so enamored by a guy that's been around for 13, 14 years now, and he just continues to do it. He just continues to make play after play after play after all these years, and he's still one of the best guys in the league. I was hoping Detroit could have grabbed him last year when his contract was up, but he re-signed.
Yeah, no, this one hurt to watch a little bit. It did.
Well, I mean,
because
I didn't think Baker played bad.
No,
I thought he played well. I think they should have threw the ball a little more instead of trying to
agree.
force the run. I think they should have let Baker let it rip.
they bid in too much to the fact that Washington's run defense was quote unquote as bad as it is.
The problem was Washington was running the ball and they couldn't stop him.
Yes,
That was a problem.
I'm saying Tampa I think Tampa missed opportunities in the passing game just trying to run the ball. And the time of possession thing, and they talked about it on the broadcast, actually, how Dan Quinn's whole thing was they wanted to flip Tampa's script because Tampa has been so good at controlling the time of possession all year, and he did it. He completely flipped the script, and Washington, I'm pretty sure, almost doubled the time of possession in this game. Realistically, yes, the Baker fumble was the nail in the coffin, but I think Tampa was talented enough to put this game away earlier and didn't.
Yeah.
I agree.
The other thing, you have to remember, they left Washington, if I remember correctly, they left at least 6 easy points on the field by going for it on 4th down and turning the ball over.
Yeah.
It was Tampa. Tampa just did not have the same gas offensively that they had that got them.
They need to Washington. It's not going to get figured out this year, but they really need to nail how they handle the red zone, because you can't just have him pop out for design runs once you get in goal to go situations.
Sooner or later, they're going to get him
Dude,
killed.
I thought he was going to get killed in that game.
I did too.
I did not think he was making it out of that game.
I hated him running around with Vita Vea out there.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
just crazy, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
All I'm seeing is Haloti Nada hitting Robert Griffin. Robert Griffin running down the field and causing Mike Shanahan to lose his job as a Redskins head coach.
Yeah, I that was a very, very vivid thought in my head too. Is Jaden Daniels going to make it out of this game alive? Washington's outlook for next year, I'm sure we are all just as.
Well, we don't know yet. We got to see what happens this week, so we'll go from there.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Tampa's outlook on next year.
Well, I mean, they got a lot of work to do, dude. They got to figure out who's going to be their coach. I mean, we don't even know if they're going to lose some guys, coordinators over there. I've been hearing a lot of shit. And
Yeah.
we got to see what's going to happen with them.
You hit the nail on the head. I think priority number one, they have to survive the Liam Cohen thing. I think they need to keep Liam Cohen because he's been very good for Baker. They're gonna get healthy. They're gonna get They're gonna get Chris Godwin back. I almost said T. Higgins. They're gonna get Chris Godwin back.
That's going to help. They're going to have a nice 3-headed monster.
I think there's a lot to like. They were banged up on defense for half the year. Mike Evans was gone for a month. Baker missed a game here and there. Kate Otten missed some time at the end. There's a really good outlook. I think it's that going into the season next year. I think it's going to be their division to lose again. How many years is it in a row?
You know what they need? They need secondary help bad.
Yeah,
They
corner
need
with
secondary need O-line bad. O-line and secondary.
Well,
Yeah,
you know
see
what? Speaking of that, when Jamel Dean went out in that game,
they were fine.
that Diami Brown guy just started to
Yeah.
absolutely eat.
career day.
Career day.
for Diami
Yeah.
Brown after that. Yeah.
I think Tampa's in better shape than you. It's a good time to be a Bucs fan.
I feel better about Tampa going into next year than I felt about Tampa going into this year.
It's tied to Liam Cohen, right? It was tied to Canal. They lost Canales, but they survived that, and they probably look better offensively this year. But at some point, Liam Cohen is going to leave. It's the same principle as what's Goff going to look
Yeah,
like
he's
without
going to get
Ben
a lot. He's
Johnson.
been getting a lot of interviews now.
Gets a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
But they just need to retool a little bit on the fly, and I think they could very much be back to where they were this year, and if not more. I think there's a lot to like if you're a Tampa fan right now, but it's tricky.
Next up, and the last game of Wild Card Weekend, which was last night, live from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, the LA Rams hosted the Minnesota Vikings. And the Rams come out on top 27-9. We all saw this coming. I didn't see it.
He had the Vikings.
Oh, yeah.
I took Minnesota.
God.
I really thought you were going to see a different team out there. I was fucking wrong.
First question. They made Sam Darnold throw the ball 40 times.
They looked at AG's tape from last week and they said this will be easy.
Do it.
This will be easy.
Is Sam Darnold a Minnesota Viking next year?
No.
Maybe, but he's I think it's JJ McCarthy's team next year.
Okay.
If they keep him, it'll probably be a backup.
Well, I got Daniel Jones.
If they keep him, he'll be a backup. He might be on the fucking practice squad next year.
What was the fall apart for Minnesota? Because
I'm not going to put it all on Darnold. I'm not. I'm not going to put it all on him.
It's not on.
This was how
I don't think
Minnesota's
you can.
season deserved to end, dude. This was how it. This is how it should have happened. Go up and down the schedule. It's all fraudulent. Detroit finally exposed them beyond repair, and they got popped in the face just like they should have. This team was not. They were not that good. They were not.
I don't believe that they're not that good.
They're not that
I
good,
believe
dude.
that. Here's what I believe. I know this is going to sound fucked up, man, but I truly thought that Kevin O'Connell, after what happened to him last week, that he would correct some of the shit he did, and he didn't.
Well, you have to remember the other thing is it's, and I think Zolo said it on Thursday. When you have the teacher versus student situation going on too, that's going to play into it in favor of the Rams as well.
But I thought that the mistakes he made against Detroit was not having safety valves for Darnold, knowing that if Darnold's being pressured, he's got to have some kind of outlet, and there was nothing.
Dude.
There was nothing there for him.
He was bad.
The guy was getting absolute ass hammered.
9 sacks, tied a playoff.
And I'm going to say this, Brian Flores' defense, they got fucking smoked. They got fucking smoked. And I like Brian Flores. I think he's a good defensive mind, and his defense got smoked. That's hard for a defense with that talent to get smoked like that.
I don't want to say that they didn't deserve to be there because they 100% deserve to be there. I think they were better than a lot of teams. They proved it, but they were in a year. It's hard to explain it, but all they did this year is they just beat the teams they were supposed to beat
by a field goal.
And it was always close.
Yeah.
It was they were 9-1 in one score games, so it was almost always close. So they beat up on the bad teams, which usually when there's a team that does this, there's usually some losses in there. It inflated their win total, and they were a good team. They were not a great team. You saw when they played the Lions, and there was that exciting discourse after they beat the Packers at home, and they're dumping champagne on Darnold. That was the peak of your year. That was your Super Bowl. You beat the Packers at home. You beat the Packers twice this year. You beat them at home. You beat them at Lambeau. That was your year. You were basically a 3 seed in your division, and you really didn't play that many great teams. The one great team on your schedule, was the Detroit Lions. You were 0-2. And not that they didn't deserve to be there, because they did, but
Hold on now. Didn't they go into Frisco and beat up Frisco?
they're not a great team.
Frisco's
Not a great
garbage.
team.
Now all of a sudden you want to give Frisco its flowers
Not a great team.
after you literally dragged Brock Purdy's dead corpse over shards of glass last week.
What you guys last year, Brock Purdy, fucking goddamn
Yeah,
MVP
last
of the
year,
league.
yeah.
I'm talking about this year. That wasn't a good San Francisco team.
You want to give them one great
All I'm saying, early on, nobody knew that San Francisco was dog shit.
win. They're dog shit.
Am I wrong or not?
You want to give their marquee win. Their marquee win is
It's the
week
Packers.
3 against Houston. And
Ye-
they blew Houston out of the building.
Is it even? I don't even consider that. I mean, that's a second weekend team. Credit to them.
They beat the Packers by 2.
I'm gonna make this easy on
They beat
you.
Atlanta by 3 touchdowns.
I'm gonna make this easy on you. I'm gonna make this really easy on you. The 2 best teams on their schedule, the 2 championship caliber teams on their schedule this year, were the Lions and Rams. They were 0-4 against the Lions and Rams. 0-4. Done. You didn't belong. And I'm not even discrediting Darnold. I thought he had a great year. I think he's more than worthy for being in the MVP conversation for what he did this year. But you saw the real Darnold against good teams.
Dog shit.
It's there. You limit him. You take away certain things, and he's going to struggle no matter who's catching the passes. So I credit to them. Credit to Kevin O'Connell. They had a great year, but your fans are so annoying. They were the discourse on social media. Even 2 weeks ago, I looked at almost every ESPN analyst and analysts all around the country that all picked the Vikings to win, but it was just all discourse. And it was because your fans were inflating you on social media. Their team was good. It was not great. Now, the good news for them is they have draft capital. Well, actually, they only have 3 draft picks this year, but they have some capital. They have J.J. McCarthy waiting in the wings. I think that's incredible for them. And even if it's not J.J. McCarthy, there's other quarterback. They can go get a quarterback if they want to. And I think they have a quarterback guru in Kevin O'Connell. And They have a lot of free agents and a lot of guys they need to sign and a lot to extend, but there's also some really good young talent. They look like geniuses for Van Ginkel.
Yes.
They look like geniuses for how they acquired Dallas Turner in the draft. I think he's going to be a great player for them. They look like geniuses for letting Daniil Hunter walk, right? You add some pieces here and there. Their secondary was overinflated based on how their defense is called and how their front seven behaved and performed all year. But you add some pieces in the secondary, you're good there. You rebuild the interior of your offensive line, you're good there. And then they might need a running back. They might need to add someone to Aaron Jones. And they're in great shape. They could easily come out and win this division next year.
You really think so?
Yeah, I do. I think the way the league is shaped, the way the schedules work out, it's
With
gonna.
J.J. McCarthy.
Their season will come down to how good is J.J. McCarthy next year. That's what it'll come down to. And there's going to be hiccups. It's going to be his rookie. It's going to be his rookie year, but there's a lot to like about the Vikings. I just think that if you're a Vikings fan, you have to look at this season like it was a success because you had no business being here. That was your narrative going into that game at Ford Field. You had no business being here, and you won 14 games, but all you did is you just took advantage of the third-place schedule that you had, and you never had it. Only some of your wins are convincing. None of them came against good teams. That's my 2 cents on the Vikings, but their future's bright. I think it's a great organization. I think they draft well. I think they got a good coach. Of course, I'll hype up J.J. McCarthy until I die, but there's this year was just
I wouldn't
fraud.
do much of that if I was you.
Your thoughts on the Vikings?
I thought they overachieved this year with the last place schedule. I thought they overachieved. No, I'm sorry, third place schedule.
That's a great way to put it. They overachieved with the
They
third place
overachieved.
schedule.
I thought they overachieved.
They weren't what their record was. They're a good team.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think Chicago overachieved. I thought they overachieved. I even thought the Packers, that everybody was talking about them being a fucking Super Bowl contender. I actually thought they overachieved. I really did, because I don't think much of Jordan Love. I don't. I know he can make all throws. He has all the talent in the world. But to me, I see Anthony Richardson in him, but throwing the ball a little bit better than Anthony Richardson does. Because Anthony Richardson's all over the map.
What's the X factor?
He's horrible.
What's the X factor for the Rams going into Philadelphia?
The X factor for the Rams, I would put 10 guys in the box and make them throw the football. That's what I would do. If I was him, I would put 9 guys in the box and make them beat you throwing the football.
You're talking if you're the Rams.
If I'm the Rams defensive coordinator, I put fucking 10 guys at the line of scrimmage and make Jalen Hurts try to beat you.
I think that it's important to remember that they played earlier this year at SoFi, and it was when the Eagles were really clicking at that point. Saquon had 255 and 2 TDs. A.J. Brown had 109 and a touchdown, but they played at SoFi, and the Eagles manhandled this Rams team.
Correct.
Now, the Eagles' offense looks a little different now, of
Correct.
course. And the Rams, I think the Rams are extremely hot,
That
even though
Rams defensive front has come into its own.
I don't want to say extremely hot because their December wasn't great, but there's avenues
Yeah,
for
if
them
you remember,
to win.
they lost what? How many of the last
They
few
lost
games that they
to
played?
Seattle. I don't count.
I mean, they
that
gave
one.
up that one because they didn't play everybody.
Yeah.
But prior to that, prior to the last few weeks of the season,
So
they lost like 3-4 games in a row.
they won them all. They won them all. Their biggest win was the Bills win. That was a great
Yeah.
win for them. They won them all, but it was 19-9 against a really bad Jets team. It was 12-6 against a really bad 49ers team, and it was 13-9 against a really bad Cardinals team.
21-14 at New Orleans.
21-4. That was a bad one. They got blown out by
28-22 against
Philly.
New England.
I consider the Rams the Bills wasn't an all-around win, but it was still a good win. It was just whoever had the ball.
They got into a
pissing contest.
pissing contest.
It was
with
just
Matt Stafford.
It was whoever had the
lose.
ball in their hands less, and still Josh Allen had the ball in his hands at the end, but they missed an onside kick. Their last truly convincing win was probably the Vikings in October. That was their last truly convincing win. But there's totally avenues for the Rams to win this game. I don't blame you. I don't blame anyone. Majority of the country is going to be picking the Rams, I think. or it's going to be
Well,
close.
The Rams had the little wildfire factor right now and all that
They're
stuff.
just playing
so,
well.
Yeah, you know what? They're playing good. They got the wildfire thing going. Their defense looks outstanding.
How
And
much
for
of
them
it,
to go
though?
into Philly, I believe.
How much of the Rams hype? This is a question for both of you. How much was the Rams hype, or is the Rams hype currently because they just beat an overinflated Vikings team?
No, my Rams hype is more because I thought Minnesota was garbage. They were hot. They were 14-3, and they were hot garbage.
I expected Minnesota to come out play a
I
very
did not.
tough, hard game.
I thought it would be closer.
And they let me down.
Okay.
They let me down. They really did.
I think Philadelphia's weaker than I thought. More so than I think the Rams are better than we thought. Philadelphia for me is starting to just smell a little bit like there's something that stinks a little bit.
I've been saying it all year.
There's something that stinks a little bit about Philadelphia.
The only team in the NFC, and I'm not even saying this is going to happen, the only team in the NFC that can win the Super Bowl is the Detroit Lions.
I agree.
They're the only team. Philly can make the Super Bowl. I don't think they can win it. The Rams can make the Super Bowl. I don't think they can win it. Who am I missing? The Commanders? The Commanders, same thing. They could win this weekend. They could win next week, too. Don't think they have the pieces to take down Bills, Chiefs, Ravens. I just don't see it happening. Can we, real quick, there's some TikTok comments. Can we get to some TikTok comments?
Yeah, please. Let's do it.
Audie, who's been bringing it all day. What up, Audie? Thanks for being here. I want to root for the Rams, but I can't stand Stafford. Thank you.
I'm rooting for the Rams.
No, I'm not.
I am rooting for the Rams. I want them to beat Philadelphia. I wanted them to beat Minnesota last night. I will root for the Rams up until they step into Ford Field.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
And you'll agree with me. I know you're going to agree with me because we talked about this. Well, actually, you might too. I think if the Lions somehow had lost that Vikings game and had to go to SoFi or State Farm
They
Stadium,
probably would have got punched in the mouth.
I think the Lions would have lost. Now, I'm liking the Lions a little bit more today than I am 2 weeks ago, and I would have said that, but I think the Rams are a horrible matchup for the Lions. Between Eagles, Commanders, and Rams, I think the worst matchup is the Rams. They have the pieces. I don't want to go as far as to say they're better than they are week one, better than they were week one, but most people would say that they are better than they were week one, and they took you to overtime week one. Now, the Lions are significantly better than they were week one. Their offense had no clue what it was doing week one. That being said, I think the Rams are a good team, and they present I look at everything from a matchup perspective, and they present a lot of matchup problems.
Out of all
for
the
Lions.
quarterbacks left, Matt Stafford's the last one you want to see.
You have an NFC?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to see Lamar Jackson.
No,
And honestly,
the
I wouldn't
NFC,
wanna see Josh
the
Allen
NFC to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The last guy you want to see is Lamar Jackson or Matt Stafford.
I'm not rooting for him. Fuck him. I don't really care. I'm so over that narrative of Stafford coming here because that's the one. It just feels like the stakes are raised every time. That's the one with the highest stakes if it happens, and it would kill me if that's the way they didn't make the Super Bowl. Is because Stafford lucked in here because his defensive coordinator got a bunch of rookies to play well, and they backed into a win. That would piss me off.
So you'd rather play Philadelphia than the Rams?
100%. I think they could beat Philadelphia. I thought they could beat
I
Philadelphia.
think they could beat all of them.
I thought they could beat Philadelphia last month. I thought they could beat Philadelphia 2 months ago when everyone was on their knees for them. I thought they could beat Philadelphia at the beginning of the year. I always thought the Lions could beat Philly because if you want to get into a game script, if you want to get into a pissing contest with Dan Campbell, and there's coaches that it's going to happen this week. There's a chance that Dan Quinn loses this game because he tries to out-Campbell Dan Campbell. And that's Sirianni, same drill. He's going to try and do that if they end up here in 2 weeks. And they're not going to like trying to do that at Ford Field. It's not going to end well. Sean McVay is not going to try and out-Campbell Dan Campbell. He's going to be prepped.
He tried that.
He tried and he lost. He tried and he lost. He's going to be prepped. They're going to be ready to go. His team's going to be prepared to play, and they're healthy.
That way.
How do you feel about the Lions?
I think we're all overthinking it. It's got to play itself out.
They got to win this week. They got to win this week.
I don't think they're going to lose this week. That's my opinion.
What'd you say, Bruce?
Get there first.
Oh,
I agree.
please.
No, I agree. This week's going to be
One
tough.
game at a time, baby. One game at a time.
How do you feel about the Lions 2025 schedule? I can. This is from Balin Nagy. I can walk you guys through it right
I
now.
haven't seen it yet.
So
Me.
obviously Packers, Bears, Vikings times
Yeah.
2. There's 6 right there. The rest of their home slate is, I believe
Can I tell you?
yeah. Go.
Dallas,
Dallas comes here,
the Giants,
and the Giants come here,
Okay.
Cleveland,
and Cleveland comes here,
Pittsburgh,
and Pittsburgh comes here.
Tampa.
Cleveland and Pittsburgh?
Oh, Tampa comes here too.
Yes.
Cleveland and
Oh.
Pittsburgh come here.
So we have the Cowboys, the Giants, and Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Tampa.
We're laughing now, but the road schedule is Packers, Bears, Vikings. You go to Kansas City. You go to Baltimore.
Yes.
You go to Cincinnati.
Next year?
Yeah.
Oh, keep going.
You go to LA to play the Rams.
Yes.
Okay.
Keep going.
The last one is
Two more.
there's two more. You go to Philly to play the Eagles, and then you go to Washington to play the Commanders.
Shit.
So it's
So
it's
every-
almost
That's a
all
fucking
playoff
all-
teams,
The only,
and
the only
you're not.
playoff teams that they don't play on the road are Cincinnati and which
It shit
That's-
could have been a playoff
that's
team,
scary.
and you still got to go to a tough Chicago.
Chicago.
So for those wondering on international, the Lions likely wouldn't go international next year. We'll know in the next month if you hear of the Chiefs, the Ravens, or the Bengals, because it can only be an AFC team hosting an international game this year. If you hear of one of those three teams getting an international game, then the NFL has a decision to make if they want to put that game with the Lions, if they want to put the Lions
I
internationally.
don't want no international game. Fuck that.
Well, it's coming. They haven't played international in 10 years. It's coming. And it'll probably be in Germany.
If we're going to sit here and go with this international shit, just move the Jags to fucking London like they've been wanting to do for the last 5 years.
Hold on. Next year's Germany games in Olympia Stadion and that in Berlin, and that's one of the cool. Hitler's literal Nazi architects designed the stadium. It's one of the coolest stadiums in the world, and I think that would be a lot of cool to see Amon Ra there. But, yeah, their schedule's a gauntlet next year. Their schedule's a gauntlet next year, Balin. That being said, when you finish in first place, you are rewarded with a gauntlet schedule. Guess what happened last year? They finished in first place, had a gauntlet schedule, broke the franchise record for wins, and got the 1 seed. So if they're as good as we think they are, they'll handle it not with ease, but they'll handle it. What is the Commanders' biggest threat to bring to the field against the Lions? From P. Wooden. Well, I'll say it at the same time. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels. Historically, this isn't just a Campbell Lions problem. Historically, the Lions have not been able to handle running quarterbacks.
The one thing that keeps playing in my head, and I hate to interrupt you, is the Baltimore game from last year.
100%. That's the script they're going to look at to think on how to let this play out. They're going to reference that Baltimore script. I don't think that they have the pieces to make this nearly this bad. I also don't think that the Lions are going to be underprepared like they were in that Baltimore
Listen,
game.
they're going to be
The script.
facing a secondary that doesn't fuck around. So they better be ready.
Who?
Washington.
Oh, I thought you said Washington secondary.
No.
Washington secondary.
Their secondary is going to get fucking torched.
They're going to get torched.
By the way, injury report: Zeitler is. They had a walkthrough today, so it's an estimated injury report. Zeitler would have been out with the hamstring. Ennis Rakestraw had him out as hamstring and illness. It's probably the illness because they're supposedly starting his clock. So if it's illness, it's probably because of that. I would expect to see him this week. What's his name? Pat O'Connor was out with a calf. Terrion Arnold would have been a full participant in practice with the foot. David Montgomery would have been a full participant in practice with the knee. You're going against the number 30 ranked run defense. There's going to be a lot of Gibbs. There's going to be a lot of Montgomery. Going back to the question though, yeah, if you can mitigate what Jaden Daniels does, not only will you win this game, but you got to feel pretty good about going against Jalen Hurts. You got to feel pretty good about going against Lamar, and pretty good about going against Josh Allen. If you can mitigate what Jaden Daniels does, control the game script,
Well,
control the tempo.
That's if any of these guys even get there. We don't even know yet.
Yeah,
That's got to play itself out.
I shouldn't be jumping
Because
ahead.
one of the two, Lamar or Josh Allen, are going to be fucking knocked out this week.
Audie also asked, when y'all get to the Rams Vikings, I want to hear your opinions on playing on a neutral field. Like why that it happened, or should more games be on a neutral
well, we
field?
understand the why. We understand that, no? I mean,
I don't think that
LA's on fire. I mean, that's why.
I mean, if hypothetically if that game was at SoFi, do you think it goes any different?
I think if that game was at Bank of America Field in Minneapolis, that the Rams are still crushing the Vikings.
I mean,
Nah, maybe not crushing, but beating the Vikings. I don't think the neutral field had anything to do with it. And if you're suggesting more neutral field NFL games, I'm all good on that.
No, I don't want
oh
that.
yeah, ton of Rams fans.
I don't want that.
No.
Listen to me.
That's college. Leave it in college.
When you're going to sit there and earn a number 1 seed in your division playing, you better fucking reap the benefits of it. Playing at home.
We should talk about that.
And hold on, that's what Audie, I think, is implying as well. He said, like, should they have gone to Minnesota? As in, should the game have been in Minnesota because they had the higher win percentage? Sounds like they might pivot to that.
There was something proposed, I guess.
Yeah, I've been hearing
that. What it's going to be is the seeding is going to go by win percentage.
Top 4 teams would host.
And the top 4 teams would host. So this year, it would have been Lions, Eagles, Vikings, Commanders.
Lions, Vikings, Eagles, Commanders.
Yeah.
Lions, Vikings, Eagles, Commanders would have gotten home games.
Right.
Does it really matter? I don't think so. But then there's no reason for what does a division title get you then? An automatic in.
Well, the Rams won their division. So what are you saying?
I don't think
You're saying by winning percentage.
They'd be going away.
This year is the
Right.
prime example. I don't think winning the division should entitle you to a home playoff game because we see it all the time that teams that win the division host a home playoff game against a team that's better than them. It happened with the Commanders this weekend. And the Commanders probably should have hosted that game. And it turned into a home game anyways because their fans raided the stadium, just like everyone raids Tampa. But I think that I'm fine with it. I think it's at least the NFL compared to how the college football playoff worked this year.
It goes by your record, correct? Whether you're going to get that home field. Or
No,
not.
if you win your division, you get a home game. That's how it
because
works.
the Rams and Tampa were both 10-7 and hosted games. Minnesota was 14-3 and did not.
Right.
So do you think Minnesota should get a home game?
Yeah, Minnesota should have gotten a home game, but they
But on
probably
second
would have
thought,
lost to
they
most
lost
teams.
their division, so do they really deserve it?
They won 14 games. I thought they
I get
deserved
that.
it. Yeah,
They lost their division.
But that's the $1 million question.
I think so. I think it should go by record. I think you should be rewarded for it.
So the division champion has an automatic in,
Yeah.
but
From
they
the
may not
division
host the game.
champion
Yeah.
down, it should go by record.
It does.
That's how it is right now.
Yeah.
That's
The
how it
division
is right
champions
now.
are the top 4 seeds.
Correct.
How it would have went this year, though, is like he said, it would have been North 1, North 2 hosts, so Lions and Vikings. East 1, East 2, Eagles and Commanders. They would have been the 4 hosts. So the Rams would have had to travel.
As
The
division
Packers still traveled, and the Bucks
That
would have had to
actually makes
travel.
sense, though.
Right. I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Division champs get a playoff spot, but not necessarily a home game. I think that solves a lot of your debate there. Because yes, if you go 14-3, even though the Vikings were pure dog shit and they were overrated,
They
won
deserve
14
to host
should have got a
playoff
home game.
Yeah.
Their fans should have got a home
All
game. I agree with that. I agree. Real quick, right now, and you know what? No, we'll save that for Friday. We'll play around more with it on Friday. We'll save it for Friday. We got four huge.
We got a lot of things to talk about as far as some people were let go this
coaching?
week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My God, how could we forget? The Cowboys are going to be looking for a new head coach finally. It's a celebratory day here at the Tip Balls Podcast.
K Sarah Sarah.
Jerry Jones has announced that him and Mike McCarthy are mutually parting ways.
That's bullshit.
Okay, this is the thing. What was the straw that broke the camel's back? Why did it take a week? Zolo, your thoughts.
The forward facing, the Cowboys narrative is going to be that we tried to agree on a contract with McCarthy, and it cost a little too much than we would have liked, and we couldn't come up with a deal. Supposedly, it was the term was the disagreement. Maybe they wanted a 1 or 2 year term. I didn't realize how well received Mike McCarthy is in certain circles.
Yeah, because he's already getting
Because
interviews.
he's already getting interviews, which
Saints.
doesn't make any sense to
The
me.
Saints.
Lord help
Bears,
me.
the Saints.
Lord
That's
fucking help me.
That's the surface level narrative. The underneath narrative was Jerry Jones has taken this time over the last week to talk to other candidates to see who could come. And I think when there's smoke, there's fire on this Deion Sanders thing. And I think he's going to be – I wouldn't have thought this, but I think Deion Sanders is probably the coach of the Cowboys. They got a whiff. They had a conversation. They got a whiff would you come here? He said, yeah, probably. And I could imagine the ball rolling on this, which I think is a horrible idea, by the way.
Now you want to fill in the rest of that?
Go ahead. You fill it in.
Go ahead.
Oh, they're going to trade
Go ahead.
pick 1 and draft his son?
What are they going to do?
Supposedly, what I've seen proposed from 50 different accounts here today is Dak Prescott gets traded to the New York Giants in exchange for the 3rd pick, and they draft Shitter Sanders with the 3rd pick.
I think Dak is a really good, great quarterback. I don't know. Other than for cap purposes, I don't know why they move on. Their dead cap money over the next 2 years would be like $104 million over 2 years if they move on if they trade Dak. So that's tricky.
Yeah, but you know what?
If I'm the Giants,
I
I'm
don't
not
think it
taking that
matters.
deal.
I don't think it fucking matters. You move on from him. I mean, doesn't the Giants have to take some of that money up?
They don't have to, but
Well, I'm sure if they're going to trade, they're going to negotiate.
and the Giants have dead cap on Daniel Jones
Yeah.
for the next couple of years. So I don't know if the Giants can afford to do that. I can envision that scenario.
I thought they didn't have that dead cap money because he was released.
They release him and they take the cap hit. So Daniel
I
Jones is
didn't
getting
think they
paid
did.
by 2 teams. He's getting his guaranteed money from the Giants,
Okay.
and he's getting a little bit of money from the Vikings or wherever he signs next year.
My Vikings.
Yeah, but he has
Yeah.
to sign with them.
Okay.
So it's really tricky. I don't know if it's not from a business standpoint, it's unrealistic. But I can envision that scenario where Shedeur, who I think is incredible, and I'm excited to see what's next for him. He needs to go to the right situation, and that wouldn't be it because I could envision him becoming that next swaggy Dallas quarterback that comes in and plays well, but not well enough to take them anywhere. I could see that. He's just stuck in the Mike Tomlin purgatory for years, which, by the way, Mike Tomlin would be a prime candidate for the Cowboys. I've heard his name. Should we trade for Tom? That'd be a great candidate for the Dallas Cowboys, is go get Mike Tomlin, but who am I?
I really think that there's some serious.
There's serious fire in that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's being brought up for nothing.
No, it's going to happen.
Were there any other moves that we needed to talk about? Let me go back through this here.
Go ahead.
Do you have one?
No.
Mike Vrabel officially got
Oh,
fired.
yeah.
Mike
Mike
Vrabel is
Vrabel. Mike Vrabel.
officially Patriot.
Are there any other whiffs of coaching decisions being made out there?
It sounds like Aaron Glenn is very much in play for both the Jets and the Saints, and it sounds like Tom Brady is personally overseeing trying to get Ben Johnson to the Raiders. So I think it was you who said that's where you think Ben Johnson ends up.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you might be right.
Wink Martindale set to interview for the Colts and the Falcons job.
I think he already interviewed
Yep.
with the Falcons. Hey,
Yep.
his defense had a great year. Stopped the last loss for the potential national champions was Wink Martindale's defense.
Can we jump back to Dallas real quick?
Yeah.
What are you playing into this Micah Parsons thing at all?
To Detroit. I think there's a scenario where they can trade Micah Parsons just because they can't pay all 3 of those guys. The Lions had the same problem 10 years ago when they had to pay Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford, and Sue. Sue ended up being the odd one out because they let it run on
Over
too
$2
long.
million.
They let it run on too long, and they couldn't afford to pay all 3 of them. And I can totally envision a scenario where Dallas cannot afford to pay all 3 of them, and Micah Parsons is the odd one out. I can envision that. The one I would keep gun to my head is CD. That's the one. That's a non-starter.
Constant.
That's the non-starter. And I think that you're in better shape with Dak Prescott than you are without Dak Prescott, unless you have a plan. So it would make sense that Micah Parsons, if you can get pieces for Micah Parsons, he just seems like he doesn't want to be there a lot of the time. Am I off there?
No, I'm starting to feel the exact same way.
Especially toward the end of this year, watching him, his demeanor on the sidelines, it's just like, looked like he didn't want to be there.
I know.
Yeah.
Another piece of news that came out today, Texans have waived wide receiver Deontay Johnson. That is the 3rd team that has cut him this year because he was angry in the locker room to the point where his teammates had to calm him down after the game because he was not happy with his playing time.
I have a question.
Hit me. Let's hear it.
They brought him in because they were missing Diggs, correct?
They were missing Diggs, and Nico
Yeah.
Collins was banged up, and Tank Dell, yeah.
They brought him in.
Mhm.
They bring him in. They don't use him.
Mhm.
In his defense, I get that part of it, but you were released by 3 teams. What does this tell you? Guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. He's fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Well, what the fuck?
Future Dallas Cowboy.
Future Dallas Cowboy Deontay Johnson.
There you go.
Him and Brennan Cooks will be ready for week 1 next year.
Oh,
Don't worry.
wow.
Anybody have anything else to add?
Uncle Sam, you want to touch on the college games real quick? There's not much to say. Well,
You know what?
they're
I
two
was
great games. but-
disgusted. Ohio State won, which
Oh, they're
It
winning it all. I
surprised
thought
me.
you were on board with me with them winning it all.
I truly think they're going to win it all.
But
That's
didn't you
my
didn't you
opinion.
think they had a shot at it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks? Because I did. I thought they were gonna. I thought they would at least be one of the two.
I
two or
thought
three teams.
Oregon would have gave them a better game than what happened. That's all I'm saying there. Texas, I will say this. They did better than I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to get smoked.
I thought Texas had a shot, and they did.
No.
They just, Steve Sarkisian's just not competent. I feel bad because Texas wasted a really good roster. All their guys are declaring. They had 2 pro corners, both are declaring. They had a pro running back, he'll declare. Both of their receivers, who both had outstanding games.
Yeah.
Golden is a great player. Both declared.
Their entire defense declared. All their fucking defensive guys have declared.
All gone.
Yeah.
And they wasted it. Now, of course, that Ohio State team's one of the most loaded college teams.
Well, they're
I've
about to
seen.
lose everybody too.
Yeah, of course.
They're about to lose everybody.
So who do you got?
So what'd you think?
There's no scenario. Honestly, there was no scenario a month ago where Ohio State wasn't winning this national championship. They put $22 million into this roster.
So what are you saying?
But I'm okay with
James
it.
Franklin don't have a chance?
No. James Franklin's exactly where he should be.
Listen,
Aren't you happy about the
They
Big
lost.
Ten?
They
about
lost
the
to a
Big Ten?
bad. They lost to a bad Notre Dame team.
Bruce thinks Notre Dame's gonna win. Bruce
Look at that.
Bruce thinks Notre Dame's gonna win because it makes him a good
Notre-
Catholic.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? Notre Dame didn't win that game.
Brock Purdy
Penn
didn't
State
go to
lost that
fucking
game.
Notre Dame.
Penn State.
No, I'm referring to them at San Francisco and Brock.
Listen to me. The only reason you're rooting for Notre Dame is because you think it makes you a better Catholic.
No.
So shut the fuck up.
They're gonna lose to the Convicts at Ohio State. I want you to know that.
Yes.
They're gonna lose soundly to them. And it's gonna be okay. To all the Michigan fans that are crying about this national championship game, you'll live.
There's
You'll
no
live.
reason a bunch of grown men should be watching a bunch of kids who get paid a shit ton of money to play football.
What if you went to the school?
It's not a professional sport, though. So it's like,
It is now.
and basically now it
It
is.
is now.
Where do you think the professional sport kids go after this though? They go to the professional sport.
Yeah, but it's a professional sport.
Before we go, shout out to Michigan and Michigan State basketball, 1 and 2 in the Big Ten. They're both undefeated in Big Ten play. They're both Michigan State's 14th ranked, Michigan's 20, but they're both analytically top 15 teams in the country. They're both very good. They're on a collision course, and I think they both have a good shot of winning some games this year. You guys like college basketball?
Are we going to talk about the Red Wings?
Yeah.
Pistons are what, 21 and 19?
Red Wings haven't lost this year. They should get another win tonight, but their schedule turns into a gauntlet. If they go 500 for the rest of the month, the Red Wings are going to very much be in it in the playoff race. The Pistons already are in it in the playoff
They
race.
won 5 in a row?
7.
7 in a row.
First time since Nick Lidstrom was here, 7 in
Yeah.
a row. And then the Pistons are 10 of 12, which is absurd. They look really good. Cade Cunningham is not just an all-star, he's an MVP candidate, and it's fun. So that I'm excited. Once this Lions deal is over, which hopefully we got another 3 weeks of this shit. Once this Lions deal is over, I'm very much excited to it's good. We have a winter, and then even going into Tiger season, we have a lot to look forward to around here. And then college basketball, we have a lot to look forward to.
Are we gonna talk about hockey? I don't know shit about hockey. You know anything?
I'll
about
do
hockey?
tipped pucks. Are you kidding me?
Puck?
No.
We're gonna put a wait list on the Instagram.
you put-
Sign up to be my tip ball.
But Gary,
tip
no
pucks ball.
football on. Gary,
Yeah.
no hockey.
Well, if Garrett's in here to talk about hockey.
Yeah.
With that said, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. We're giving away tickets, if you haven't heard. So go check that out on our socials and enter to win. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back Friday to give away some tickets and pick a monster divisional weekend.